So let's continue on with the fourth and final part of this overview. And what we're going to do here is just kind of wrap up and summarize everything and put a little bow around the instructions and the process and so on. So no surprise here, as with any course in any subject, for the most part, you get out of it what you put into it. Be prepared to work hard. There's a lot of programming. If you like to program and you like to learn new things, I think you're really going to enjoy this class. You'll get a great opportunity to get exposed and get experience with several different advanced paradigms in building concurrent and parallel programs in general, like streams, structured concurrency, and reactive streams, which is all very cutting edge. You'll also get a chance to learn how to program microservices, which are really cool, both synchronous and asynchronous microservices. You get a chance to learn about some database programming, both synchronous and asynchronous. These are all cutting edge capabilities that are very important for people who are building modern web applications. You're going to find that even if you move between different languages beyond Java and different platforms beyond Spring, a lot of the concepts will be relevant that we'll be covering. Do not miss deadlines. I cannot overemphasize this enough. This is the one thing that gets some people into trouble in the course. Make sure you follow the directions for submitting your programming assignments. I'll shortly be posting the submission forms that you need to fill in so that we know where to find your repository. We know that you've correctly followed the instructions to the best of your ability. Do not miss these deadlines. I will remind you for the first few, but you are responsible for remembering to do this. Every semester, some people forget to do it, and it causes a lot of consternation. So please don't be those people if you can avoid it. Participate in discussions in class, especially when I'm actually there in person, and on Piazza. So here's the Piazza link again. You should have this link, which will help you navigate through various pieces. We don't put everything in Brightspace, and I do that intentionally. The reason for that is, number one, Brightspace is a bit clunky. Number two, over the time I've been at Vanderbilt for the past 20 years, we've changed learning management infrastructure and environments multiple times, and it's frustrating when you have to move between different platforms. So I try to put things on my website and in GitHub as much as possible, because those things tend to be more stable over time. But it shouldn't be too confusing, and once you get used to it, you'll be accustomed to it. But just be aware that things are in a couple of different places. The course website here at www.dre.vanderbilt.edu/tilde/Schmidt/ should be CS281. That is a good place to go to get oriented to most of the pieces you need. Probably not a bad idea to check Piazza frequently, especially when programming assignments are getting close to being done. Invariably, if you have a question, somebody else may have had that question already, and they probably have posted something to Piazza with the question, and hopefully someone's answered it. So a lot of times, if you post a question that's already been answered, I will just give you a link to where the answer is. But if you take a look first and find it, you'll save yourself a lot of time. There are quite a number of different resources. So we have office hours, we have online, the online Piazza forum, we have links in the slides out the wazoo, which you'll be able to get on my website. We have lectures from the videos. There's some textbooks. You don't have to get the textbooks, but if you're interested, there's a great book on modern Java that's very good. So you should have plenty of ways to learn what we cover in class. So if you find yourself sort of drowning in a sea of things, make sure you avail yourself of the resources that we have. My website contains tons of useful information on it, which you can see here. We give you that pointer before. And there's also a set of supplemental videos that my friend and colleague, Jules White, has put together over the years on microservices with Spring. We will cover some of this material in class, but he does a masterful job. He's a guru with Spring and has been teaching courses on it for quite a long time. And he's also got this really fascinating approach to teaching involving the use of something called a light board, where he appears to write backwards with his left hand. And it's really a fascinating tool. So if you're interested in getting his perspective on some of this stuff, I highly recommend you taking a look at his videos. I have linked them into our website so that you can follow along with the topics that are relevant for each week. Now, please resist the urge to email me directly at my Vanderbilt email address. Please use private Piazza posts if it's something that's confidential or if it's your source code. Please don't post your source code publicly to Piazza. But if you have a question like my code isn't working, you can show it to me. What I invariably will ask you is, please make sure that you post or push your code to your GitLab repo and provide me with a link to your repo. And then what I'll do is I'll go take a look at your code holistically and provide you feedback that way. I've found it's often very hard just to look at little snippets of code out of context, but make sure that you push your code and provide me with that link. I'll probably remind people about this multiple times throughout the semester. There's a frequently asked questions item. I forget which number it is, number 14 perhaps. And if you don't provide that information, I will remind you and post that. So just get in the habit of always first pushing your code to your GitLab repo and then reminding me where to find it. And then I'll go take a look at it. Try to use public posts as much as possible. You're welcome to be anonymous. Try not to email me. And I will also remind you if you email me to use Piazza. That makes it much easier to keep track of course-related stuff, especially if I'm traveling and don't have access to my email all the time. This way I can keep it all in one place. Something else I'll just point out at the very end here, despite ups and downs in employment and layoffs in the tech industry, people with the skills that we're covering here are very, very much in demand. I'll also mention that the focus we have in this course on generative AI is very important to being competitive in the future computer science workforce. Computer science programmers will not be put out of work because of generative AI. However, people who don't know how to use generative AI as productively as others may find themselves at a disadvantage in the very near future, because more and more of what we'll be doing will be done in conjunction with large language models and generative AI and ChatGPT and this and that. So the more you can start getting up to speed on this, the more you'll get the benefits as you go into the workforce or into research or whatever it is you do. I use ChatGPT considerably, as you'll see when you look at my playlist with all my videos, and find it to be tremendously helpful for almost everything that I do. So I think you will hopefully find the same thing. If for some reason there's a problem, there's an evacuation plan to get out of the building. It's pretty simple. If you hear the fire alarm, walk out the back door of the classroom and go up the circular stairs and go outside and await further instructions. Don't take the elevator. They're kind of slow, even under the best of circumstances, but certainly if there's some kind of problem and the power goes out, for example, you don't want to be stuck in an elevator if there's an emergency. This is something we've never had to do, but I would be remiss if I didn't give you that feedback and information. Okay, so that is the end of the overview of the course. So we've now got 4 parts of the overview that'll be posted as videos here as soon as I have time.